Welcome to Module 3. In Module 1 and 2, you learned what is the current status of your company. Second, you decided what's your goal for the first milestone. This is where you actually start talking to your team and making sure everyone is on board. So in this module, we're going to cover 3 things. First is how to set the scene. When is it the time that everyone is receptive to your ideas? Second thing is where you hold a kickoff workshop. That's where you bring everyone together and collectively you guys will decide what needs to be done for the first milestone. The third thing is about being able to answer questions and concerns. Remember in a slide in module 1 and 2, I help you to understand the concept, making sure that you know why we do things. And here is where you actually need to put those things into practice. The duration of this module should be around 1 week. If it takes more than that, I need you to reach out and I'll make sure that I'm there to help you and support you to move forward. Next thing, we are going to make sure that you know what's in Kickoff Workshop because I want you to know what you're inviting people to. I've got 2 actions for you at this stage. Number 1, I want you to go to your observation points and make a note of 3 things that you observe that your team is doing great. Second, I want you to go to members only group and post a snapshot of the radar that you have with the one that has the current state and milestone 1 in one view. And then we'll be able to continue. Let's see why I talk about workshop and not presentations. First, in a workshop, everybody will have the same voice. Everyone will be able to contribute, as opposed to the presentation that is one way and you're telling people what is the idea. Second thing is workshop flattens the hierarchy. Everybody from different roles and departments or groups will come and they all have the same voice. As opposed to a presentation that is, you might need to prepare different packs for different groups of people to share your ideas. Third thing about the workshop and you running a workshop is that you will tell them that you need their contribution, and you actually do need their contribution. Who would be able to run a change program on his own or on her own? The fourth thing about a workshop is that it makes it easy for people to accept the change because they've been contributing to building the plan for the first milestone themselves, as opposed to a presentation that you will come and tell them these are the instructions. Now let's look at Kickoff Workshop. Firstly, if you're already in Agile Transformation and some work has started, you're welcome to name it or call it re-energize or reignite. What I don't want you to do is to call it reset because you might dismiss all the good work that has been done before. The agenda has 4 sections. One is icebreaker or start, where you want to increase the vibe and create some sort of hype so people are more receptive to new ideas. Second part is when you tell them why you guys are here. And that's where you articulate that there are new and modern ways of working, and that's when we need to start using those methods. And here is where you need to reiterate and talk about those 3 observation points that you had that highlight that you know that they are already doing some good works. Then you're going to talk about objective, which is 2 things. One is for you to listen to them. And second, they tell you the priorities of the work that needs to be done to achieve the goal of first milestone. Then we're going to go into exercise. I'm going to walk you through the exercise in details and make sure that you're super comfortable with it. And then is where you close the workshop. When you're about to close the workshop, there are 3 things that I want you to be mindful. First, set the expectation that this was the phase that you were gathering and collecting information. And second one is to promise them that you will replay and share the cleaned up version of the findings. And the third thing, it's very important that you promise them, assure them that there will be a consult period that they can come to you and share their concerns or views if they haven't been able to talk in public in a workshop. And that will be really helpful for the team to feel comfortable that they are heard. Now let's go into the exercise. I'm going to break it down and make sure that you know how to run the workshop. The goal of exercise is for you to compare the current delivery method to Agile. So the way we're going to do it is that each person will come and write their points about different aspects of delivery, positive or negative, and place them on the board. If you look at how I've suggested to set up the wall, you're going to have 5 or 6 different areas for key areas of Agile delivery framework. First one is backlog. Second one is the sprint planning, and then is delivery, sprint review, and then retrospective. I've put an area for question register. Sometimes we call it parking lot. That's where the question might come up, and you do want to capture them so you show that we've heard you, we've captured it, it's there. And next thing that I want to talk to you is about how to run this workshop effectively. Great. This is going to be one of the most exciting workshops that you ever run. And I'm going to make sure that you have all the tips to make sure that you're running this one effectively. Before you run the exercise, 2 things. First, if your teams are more than 15 people, I want you to break it into groups of 5 or 6. So instead of each person coming and sharing their points, each group send a representative, and that will help you to move things fast, quicker, and get to the end of the exercise. And the second thing is that have the printout of Agile Maturity Assessment for the team ready as a guide. The way to run exercises, you are going to go section by section, and for each section, you're going to start the timer, 5 minutes. Teams will write their points, positive and negative, about that section, and then you're going to stop the timer and ask them to come and share their views. And then next step, and then next step. Couple of tips here. Number 1, I encourage you to not nominate anyone. Ask who would like to go first, and make a note of people that proactively will raise their hand and start the sharing. It's a very interesting observation. Second one, I want you to ask them to put the similar points next to each other, and it will help them, kind of forces them to listen to the previous person so they can put the card next to similar topics. The third thing is that if there were topics that came up that they weren't really related to Agile delivery, I don't want you to dismiss them. Have a blank specific space on the board and capture those points there, and you later on will be able to review them. The fourth point is for yourself. Remember to remain an observer. Here is what is important, because at the beginning of the workshop, you promised them this is a session for you to listen to them. The last tip is about keeping the focus. There's a good chance that team will start talking about how we're going to do this or why we're going to do this. I want you to remind them that this is a prioritization session. This is where we define what are we going to focus on. And then later on down the track, we're going to decide how we're going to do these ones. Keep going through each step of Agile Delivery Framework till you close the exercise. Now, after workshops, there are a couple of things for you to do. First, I want you to take a few good high-resolution photos of the post-its on the wall. If you can, I recommend you to keep the papers, the actual papers. Number 2 is when you're going to consolidate your findings, whatever you have heard from the teams and whatever you originally had planned in Module 2. Remember, it's important for you to give priorities to the ones that your team has communicated to you. Number 3 is about question register. Capture all those questions, and if you know the answer to them, great. If you don't know, make sure you reach out to me. I'm there to answer the questions so you can comfortably get back to your team. There's one other thing. I want you to introduce a consult period after the workshop. This is the period that you're going to have a couple of sessions in your calendar, like open door, that your team members can come to you and share if they have any concerns or their questions that they weren't able to bring it up in a public forum. That's really normal and quite common. I learned that one from a general manager of one of the large broadcasting agencies that I worked with. After we ran the workshop, we created a hype, everyone was sharing everything with us. He actually had this consult period that helped a lot with bringing everyone on board. Now, you have learned how to get everyone to buy in and support you with starting Agile transformation. I want you to now look at how we can invite people to this workshop.